Hello and welcome to Tomorrow's Headlines. Today, I'm your host, Robin Cunningham with Fireside Grace Ministries. So happy to be here, so happy to have you here, and all of that good stuff. Please take note of my background. That's my guitar, and the stuff on the ground is because we took a table out of here to make room for Brandy to turn this into her plant room, basically, her little garden, and so we can have a dining room table out there for people to eat, because we have a island in our kitchen that you can put chairs at and eat at, so we've been using that, but we want a table out there, so that's what we're doing. All right, let's go ahead and roll the intro and get into this, shall we? We've got a lot to talk about. Okay, welcome. Okay, in order to make my head straight, I have to make the camera not straight, and that doesn't work. Okay. All right. Welcome back. Please partner with us right here, firesidegrace.com/partner with us. Brandy's Venmo is Brandy-Cloninger. PayPal is at Fireside Grace, or you can send mail to Fireside Grace to P.O. Box 1285, Judsonia, Arkansas, 72081. All right. And obviously, we need your support. This is what we do full time, so it is what it is. You know, we're not going to try and make you feel like you have to give or you're compelled to give. But if you feel like you're being forced to give, don't give. We don't need it like that. God is good to us, and He will bless us in some way, somehow, because we are a blessing to other people, and He is true to His word. And He says, if you bless others, I will bless you. And also says that His children won't beg for bread. So all of that stuff right there. If you would like to partner with us, you're sowing into a good ministry, and the seeds that you sow, you receive a harvest on those seeds. Okay? All right. So we have a lot to talk about. First of all, remember, October, Friday the 13th at 8 p.m., we will be having Brian Melvin on here for a third time, and we are going to be talking about his experience when he went to hell. And it's going to be different from what you heard last time when we talked about it. We're going to talk about the things that got cut out of his book. We're going to talk about the things that he doesn't get to talk about because he was told that it's too offensive to Christians to hear this stuff. And the whole reason for this is not to give the devil credit for anything. It's not to glorify demons or to glorify hell. It's to help the church wake up and see how much we may actually have in common with demons, and we don't even know it. And we are not called to have anything in common with that. What does light have in common with darkness? Nothing. Light doesn't even have a shadow. So make sure that you sign in for that, tune in for that. If you're a spiritual warrior, a spiritual warfare person, pray and fast for us for that. We could always use it because we know it's a demonic day, even though I don't think the number 13 is bad necessarily. It's a demonic day. Satan loves this day. It's in his month, Halloween. So this month he has the 13th and the 31st, and we are going to glorify God. And so this is something that you're going to want to check out, that you're going to want to be a part of. And I'm going to ask him questions. I'm probably going to ask him about his experience while he was in hell, who he saw. I saw in another video, I think with Randy K, that he said he saw Hitler when he was down there. He saw things, people that would have been considered good people in this world or in this life. And so you're going to want to come see this because there's things like even the demons, you know, they were cussing and mocking and making fun of people and doing all of these things. And, you know, that's stuff that happens that human beings do. And I don't want to have anything in common with darkness, and I'm sure you don't either. And so we're going to focus on it. So it's October, Friday the 13th at 8 p.m. Central Time. Okay, check it out. So Brandy's book, Pathway to Transcendent Peace, is out. Also, we are going to be getting into publishing and editing our Mark of the Beast book. So if you want to pre-order that, and I'll put it up online. Just send me a message if anybody wants that, because I'm not going to bother wasting my time to put it up there if nobody wants it. You know, but if you want to pre-order and help us to be able to pay the publisher and pay the editor and all of this, the illustrator and all this stuff that we need to do, that will be great. If you just want to sew into helping that, then please let us know, because it usually costs a couple $1,000s to get a book published. And we publish these books, you know, they're like like this, this thick, costs a lot of money, and then you don't sell them for a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? And mostly we give more of them away for free, really. So anyway, get there, go to our firesidegrace.com, check out what we have to purchase and all that stuff, and that's about it. So let's go ahead and get into the session. So I'm going to do the headlines, and I'm going to do a little lesson to help people to witness to someone who says, well, where does it say that Jesus is Messiah in the Bible? Or where does it say that God would ever be a man in the Bible? Because everything that's in the New Testament has to be in the Old Testament, and it is. Okay? And I will show you that. So you're going to want to stay for the headlines and stay for the lesson as well. And yes, there is a little bit of crypto stuff in here in case you're wondering, but I noticed that a lot of our titles have had stuff in them regarding the crypto messages, and I felt like it was pandering to crypto people, and so I'm not putting in the title anymore anything to do with crypto coins or anything like that. So if you want to know if there's crypto stuff, I'm not going to tell you. You're just going to have to watch the video and find out for yourself. And that's all that I have to say about that. So let me just go ahead and pull up the message. Okay, so a lot of this has to do with California. All right, new laws. They're going to try and pass new laws in California, so please pray for California. This is not something that we want to take lightly. There will be an attempt to lower the legal age of consent in California, significantly lower than 18 years old. If this were to happen, California would come under judgment very swiftly. And while typing this up, I even heard the Lord say, let the people decide, and I heard laissez-faire, let the people rule. And the Lord said, the elect needs to stand up and begin to pray and intercede now. Not just those in California, but nationwide. We do not want to see an entire state be erased off of the map. I'm sure that God would get the elect out of there, but we cannot be just allowing this stuff to happen and not praying and interceding. In Ezekiel, God said that he searched all of Israel for one person to stand in the gap so that he wouldn't have to send the punishment against the nation, but he said he found no one. No one stood in the gap. And Ezekiel didn't even pull a Moses and say, no, Lord, please don't do that. He didn't find one person. Ezekiel stood there and just went, kill them all, God. He didn't actually say that, but the fact that he said nothing is an indication. His actions said it. Okay? California will begin to attempt to change or alter laws to allow for a parent to change or alter the gender of their child before birth by altering their DNA so that they won't have to do a sex change, so they can get the baby that they want. And so I couldn't see how that could possibly backfire, where they alter the DNA of this person, and then this person's like, oh, I was meant to be a boy? And so they get a sex change and get reversed back to what they were supposed to be, but their DNA was altered. Now what happens is that's a double whammy, you know? So we need to pray about this. We need to pray to stop this. And this isn't far, folks. This isn't far. It says the troubles of Jacob in the end of days. It says that men will be able to give birth with the troubles of Jacob. In Isaiah 13, it says they'll look at each other as though they're giving birth. They're having child pains. It says in another verse, what is this that I see? Can men give birth? Well, I read an article that was written last year in 2022 that said within 5 years, so by 2027, so now it's 4 years from now, that they believe with about a 99% confidence rate, that within 5 years they will be able to implant a womb into a man and have a man give birth to a child, a biological male, not a transgender male. 5 years. Do you understand how close we are to the days of Jacob's trouble? Do you understand how wicked and evil that is? It's absolutely defying God. All right. Raids in New York State will free hundreds of sex-trafficked and human-trafficked men, women, and children. A surprising number of trafficked people will come from cities such as Rochester, New York City, Buffalo, Albany, Syracuse, and some other places, even Plattsburgh and such, on the waterways, cities on the waterways, essentially. It won't just be sex workers, but will even be slaves that are working in shipyards. working in construction yards or in buildings, doing lawn work and stuff like that, living in terrible conditions, begging for money on the streets with their children, child labor, forced child labor, etc. And some of these things will lead to ties with China, as in China is a part of these operations here. And we need to pray now. We need to pray that this exposure comes quickly and that children are saved, women are saved, men are saved. If you're not for slavery, then you need to pray, which I find kind of funny as a Christian. I am a slave to righteousness. I am a slave to God. I'm purchased to God, and slave means to be a servant. So if you're opposed to slavery in the earthly way, in the earthly sense, that's horrible, terrible, and wrong, pray. All right? Utah and Arizona will be exposed at governmental levels through the foster and child care systems. It will be revealed that several workers have been funneling children into the homes of predators that are producing pornographic content with minors in it. So you need to pray for that to be exposed also. All right. Now, as I was typing this at 3 a.m., I was praying, and I felt like the Lord was saying that Trump was going to decline Speaker of the House and that I should pray that he would be willing to accept. So I prayed. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I prayed. Even though I wasn't here online doing Good Morning Holy Spirit, I still get up anyway. I prayed that he would change his mind and that it would be a God thing and that it would really be a huge thing. So then I saw an article that was posted at 10:30 a.m., which is about 7 hours later, 7.5 hours later, that said that Trump came out and said he would be willing to run for Speaker of the House. So we need to pray that he will get in, and even in the short period of time that he's there, that he would make a huge impact for our nation. And if it was important for God to tell me this at 3 a.m., then it's important for us to pray about this, okay? Because that means God wants to do this. And if we intercede, we can see this happen. I mean, just yesterday I was having a conversation with a friend. I didn't know that McCarthy got ousted, and I had just prophesied they were going to try and remove him from office. And so he got ousted like a week or two later after I said that. And he was going to go scorched earth afterwards. Like, he'd be very angry, and you'd start seeing things being exposed about people. And it'll be him, and you might not know that it's him that is exposing it. But he's going to go loco, basically, right? And so I was telling my friend, I feel like Ted Cruz is going to be the next Speaker of the House. And that's not prophetic. That's just my feelings. It could be soul. It could be the Lord. I haven't had confirmation either way, except for to pray for Donald Trump. And I felt like Ted Cruz would be. And I said, but it would be great if Trump would run, but I don't think he would. So I was praying this morning, and the Lord said, pray for him. He doesn't want to run, but I want him to run. So in just that short period of time, in less than 24 hours, I prayed, and things changed. So pray. Let's see some change happening here. Okay, Dubai will issue more laws making it harder for people to purchase certain crypto coins, and this will be a hit to many. But they will counter that by making certain crypto coins accessible and easier to use for transactions and purposes. Also, they're going to come against crypto mining in their country, and they're going to put some swift regulations on crypto mining, and they're going to try and push their digital currency at a different rate and levy taxes on crypto coins. That is a rather unfair levy. So there's some people I feel like are watching that have been living in Dubai, and they went there because they felt like they were going to get rich off of cryptocurrency, and that the Lord is saying it's good for you if you have left that place, because the restrictions they're about to put on would seriously take a good chunk of change out of the profits that you make off of your crypto coins when you cash them out. Okay. Gas prices will come down quite a bit in the coming weeks. I saw them going down. It's about $3.24 here right now. I saw them coming down about 20 cents where I'm at, so I don't know what that means national average, but coming down to the $3 and under marker, just under, at least for a short period of time. All right. Utility companies are going to be caught gouging prices for electricity and putting an unnecessary burden on their customers. They will be made to credit back charges that exceeded what would be considered a reasonable price increase. and also it was done without warning, so it's like even more illegal. So some people, executives or CEO or something like that's going to be in big doo-doo, basically, for that. So check that out. Okay, now, that's the headlines version. You can leave now, those of you who are just here for prophecy and don't want to learn about the Bible. And if that's the case, go ahead and check your heart right now and say, Lord, actually, I want to know about you. I want to know how to refute people who say that Jesus isn't the Messiah, or it doesn't say that Messiah will be a man in the Bible. So, if you watch me, you know that Daniel 7 and the end times prophecies, eschatology, I believe it's called, or hermeneutics, I'm not sure, is one of my favorite topics to discuss. Okay, so of course, I'm going to find in Daniel 7 something that correlates to Messiah and be all about it, because I'm hanging out there all the time. So I'm going to read this to you from the Rashi translation from Chabad.org, Chabad.org, and this is a rabbinic website, what do you call it? Like a reference website. It's kind of like Bible Hub for rabbinic Jews, okay, or Orthodox Jews, however you want to call it, the Pharisees, the modern Pharisees, okay. So it says here, this is Daniel 7, verse 13, I saw in the visions of night, and behold, with clouds of the heaven, one like a man was coming, and he came up to the Ancient of Days and was brought before him. And Rashi, who is commonly taught to Jews, it's almost like he was a rabbi in the late 11th, the late 11th and early 12th century. He lived to be, I want to say, about 64 years old, and he was one of the most prolific translators and rabbis of his time. They call him Rashi, which is actually just an acronym for his name, and I forget his name right now, but it was something, I don't remember, but it was son of Isaac. Anyway, oops. So anyway, Rashi is his acronym, all right? And he commented on this, and you can find this at kavad.org, and says, the one like a man was coming. That's what it says in Hebrew. And he says that this is the King Mashiach. And then it says, and up to the Ancient of Days. So who was sitting in judgment and judging the nations, that's God, came, which means arrived or reached, the Ancient of Days. And he gave him dominion and glory, and a kingdom, and all peoples, nations, and tongues shall serve him. His dominion is an eternal dominion, which will not be removed, and his kingdom is one which will not be destroyed. Okay? So what I find here that's very interesting is the word that's used for serve here, in some translations says worshipped. And that's actually what the word means. So the word used here is palach in Aramaic, which is the same word in Hebrew as palach. And this word is only used in reference to a priest who is serving a god every time that it's used. And so we see in verse 13 also that it says that one like a son of man was brought before the Ancient of Days. Well, the Ancient of Days, we know that is Jehovah. That's, you may say Yahweh, but let's just say Jehovah, Yahweh, however you want to say it. Jehovah, okay? And the word for son of man is bar anash, and this means man or mortal man. And that's the most accurate definition. It's talking about a mortal man. Then there's the first reference to it in Genesis 4:26 when Enosh is born, and that is around the same time that the flood was about to begin, and when God cursed everything and said, hey, these guys aren't going to live more than 120 years. So to live more than that, to live up into 500, 600, 700, 1,000 years old, is to be considered to be immortal, which is slightly different. We'll get into that, another lesson for another time. So we see the son of mortal man, okay? We also see that this verse says that the Ancient of Days gave this son of mortal man dominion, glory, and a kingdom, and all peoples, nations, and tongues shall serve him. So in that context, pelech means shall serve as priests worshiping him. Okay, so Rashi, cited from Chabad.org, is a rabbinical or Orthodox Jewish reference website, kind of like Bible Hub. It says that this Son of Man is Mashiach, the King. Okay, now that was back at around the late 11th to early 12th century A.D. that he wrote this, and he didn't believe in Jesus. Nevertheless, he did believe that this verse was about Mashiach. So it is to us as Christians about Jesus. Okay, so now if the son of a mortal man, meaning that man is a mortal man, he's in the body of a mortal man, is given all of these things by God, and according to this verse, all of the people will serve him as priests worshiping a God, then this mortal son of man has to be God in the flesh. And if it's not, then we have a huge problem here. And that would mean that God gave a mortal man everything and said to everybody, worship him as though he's me. But God does not ever tell anybody to worship an idol or to worship a man. He says, worship me. God would not say, be idolatrous and worship this person, which is what the Jews think we're doing when we worship Jesus. God would not do that. God would not tell anyone to worship anyone but himself. So this verse actually very clearly tells us that the Messiah will be a mortal man that comes before the Ancient of Days, and that he, God, will give him everything, and everyone will worship him and serve him, so that has to be God. So since we know that God wouldn't honor any other God as God himself, then we can deduce very clearly that this is Jesus, the Son of Man, the Mashiach. He's the Bar Enosh HaMashiach, the Son of Man, the Anointed One of God. This is not Israel. Because Israel would never dare to look at this and say, well, this has to be Israel, because Israel, you couldn't look at it and say that, because then that would mean that Israel has to be worshipped like God. If you look at the definition of the word pelech, and every time that it's used, it means to be worshiping God or to be worshiping a God. Okay? So if anybody says, well, where does it say that Jesus would come in the flesh? Here's a very good example of that. Okay, that's all I have for today. Remember to like and subscribe, share with your friends and family, get the word out, partner with us right now. Go right now and partner with us and help us. We love you guys. Be blessed. And I look forward to seeing you at 3 o'clock in the morning, Thursday morning, for Good Morning, Holy Spirit. And hopefully we have decent internet, because it's supposed to be raining and cloudy, and it's raining right now, so I don't want to have too many interruptions there. I have some great music that I want to share with you guys, and it's just going to be fire. Love you guys. Be blessed, and I will see you again tomorrow. Until next time, bye.